that's going to hinder him a lot. If we don't, and he just wants to be just some guy, some side character that we remodel for each character story playthrough, then that works.
As a side mission, we can
Yeah.
always make it be a part of the game. That is normal. You should normally, after every temple, have to go collect 10 militia.
But here's the thing. We wanted that Kevin could go from temple to temple at will, but if he loses his militia and there's an army defending, he's kind of blocked off from being able to do just the platforming.
Then can we change that?
Well, we can always have side missions that are platforming.
Well, yeah, the side missions are platforming, but that's just changing the side mission to match this. It's just he can't go from temple to temple now. It's not that it's a side mission, it's just that he can't go from chapter to chapter, temple to temple. And that's the thing, when we were talking the first few weeks, we wanted that you could ignore the RTS completely, 100%, and you can just go temple, 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 and do the story. But if there's always militia defending...
Right, but then if you're gonna... But if you do that, then there's no reason for it to have an overworld. So you're not going to be exploring that.
That's the thing. There's no reason other than that optional setting. And we were going to have side places that get bonuses and stuff like that, but that probably won't happen. We did that out, the trimming.
Yeah.
There might be upgrades, but then we'd have to think of a currency, and that was another thing that we will deal with once we have our alpha. But the only reason I'm going so in depth with this again is that
I know we need to figure
we
this
have
out.
our direction. Yes.
So
that we know where we're going to build upon.
I have another suggestion.
What's that?
Instead of doing, how about you have a choice with doing either an RTS style, like defense or attacking of a base. I mean, yeah, you have a choice of doing either RTS or a platforming defense.
That was one of our suggestions early on, and I can't remember exactly why we went away from it.
Like, you have that choice of doing either or. And then one gives one person, one gives another.
But then we split off because someone would always do RTS
Right.
or someone would always do
You
platform.
separate the games. We're trying to combine them.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can't. And that's why this thing's been going as like infinite loop. You're trying to make it so that it's you're trying to incorporate it with the game, try to make people with the game, but you also try to make it so it's also optional, which is absolutely impossible right now.
It is. I'm going to admit this is the hardest part of our game right here, but this is what makes our game unique.
And I think if you, well, I would like.
Now we have two very
like to think
conflicting
that
views.
If you want to make the RTS a part of the game, it would be impossible to have the platforming be able just to go from one to the next.
And why?
Because unless you make it, you put the RTS right in front of you, it's a side mission.
Yes.
So if it's, how do you put it right in front of you, but yet you can avoid it?
That's what I attempted with my design, in that the HQ is just a central place that you keep going to.
But the same thing, in your design, the RTS is on the side. Sure.
It is.
Right. So,
but it also punishes you because that's the only real way you're going to get people to have to play that don't want to play, but then it becomes kind of required. And that's the big issue.
In my version, it's not on the side, it's always right in front of you.
Yes,
but
it's always present.
But you still want to be able to push it off to the side and go straight to the temple. Which I don't think there's any way we can have it.
Well, that was one of our original directions, and that's what I was going with when I designed this. So if we're going to change directions now, there needs to
no,
at least
no,
be a consensus.
What I mean by the side is it's not. Is you walking around with Kevin, you just don't run into it. You get some, like a telephone call that makes you engage it.
Engage it to the zoomed in level, even though it's not zoomed
Right.
in, but I'm okay preferring it that way. Yes.
But
Because again, how I designed it was you were not going to interact with it other than setting up the commands, and then you could forget about it, or you could go back and change commands. But yeah,
right, but it's still on the side.
yes,
Right. That's what I was trying to say. Is
where we felt it should be, not just on the side, but optional.
oh, I was thinking we wanted to have it be not on the side, but optional. That's where I was going with my ideas. You always run into it, but you can choose to ignore it.
And that's the problem with when you choose to ignore it, since it's always present. It's always a hindrance because you didn't do it.
It's not a hindrance. It's just how the game was.
It lacks the time to. Because say you lose all your militia and you have to get them back by doing side missions, or
right,
you have
but
to
that's
wait.
a part.
Wait,
That's normal.
You have to.
That was normal.
That's a part that's added because of the RTS. The side missions for Lexi and Rose are making the enemies in the temple weaker. The militia are getting you access to the temple.
that's a
Right.
yeah. But if you don't do anything with the militia,
And that's the problem with
they don't-
having them always there.
They still, no matter what, the militia get you access to it. But if you don't do the RTS part, the people just aren't weakened.
Yeah.
But if they don't replenish, and you have to do a mission,
But we can say that's how the game's supposed to be played. You don't have to view it as a.
but that wasn't our original direction.
Oh.
Then can we change the original
You can
direction?
still change our direction.
We can, but we're getting to a
We can't
point
do it anymore.
where we can no longer do
Yes.
this. We're about to have our alpha, and we can make changes up to mid to late alpha. Once we hit beta, we're feature complete and we're bug
All right.
hunting. We can't make
That's
changes.
fine.
Because we're close to a alpha in the temple.
Yes.
We have no alpha of the overworld.
No, but we're close.
Um,
Really, other than having a map where the temples are located and traversing that map, we're missing the RTS.
right.
And the RTS is a lot harder to do than the map or where the temples are located. That's mostly just going to be tweaks for how long things take. We all back?
Well, we still have a lot of time at RTS.
You say that, but
Because
December 20th is going to get here quicker than you think.
right, but we can still have the game work without the RTS.
We can, and we originally designed that
So
with our alpha build to just be platformer.
right.
But at this point, we've put so much effort that if we just drop RTS now and come back to it, it's not going to be fresh in our minds anymore, and we'll have to redo all that effort to get up to where we were.
Yeah.
I know it sucks and this is going to be on forever, but it should be like the only time we have to do this. But we're getting into real design here, and honestly, I've been having fun with this.
I have to. It's amazing to think of what you come up with in your head and how many flaws there are
Mm-hmm.
that you just can't
And-
see.
And trying to work around them all, and
Yeah, fun fixes.
now I need a recap of what the hell we're talking about now.
We're still trying to figure out how the RTS works.
Alright, so let's take this step by step. First off, do we want the RTS mode to be on the side or in front of the player? We'll just take a simple vote.
In front of the player, because that's the only way to
I
make
wanna
the
vote.
game unique.
I'm gonna vote side. Dexter?
I don't want it to be on the side because then it just gets way too complicated. It's gonna confuse people. It'd be
Alright,
a
we'll
lot
do it with in
easier
front of the player.
to do it if it was in front of the player, and the player would understand it more.
So, now you two define in front of the player.
You as Kevin walk into it. You don't do some fancy gizmo transfer to it.
It's
Dexter?
part of the game. You're doing it.
So, from Phil's definition, it sounds like there's no militia leader.
There can still be a militia
Kevin
leader,
does
but
it.
Kevin has to be on scene. You can transfer to some other entity, but you're still walking into it as Kevin.
Well, there's not much reason for the militia leader now. Or then it doesn't make...
Well, other than if you choose not to do RTS, he's in charge.
Hmm.
Other than that, no, not really.
Okay. So he's not so much as a playable side character as just a side character, like... Do you want to... Do you have any advice for the battle?
I
Yes,
didn't
no.
think it was a
And
playable
then he'll
side
fight.
character at all.
Yeah, it's not really playable.
So there's going to be no New Game Plus with the militia leader.
No,
I mean, there could be, but
no.
Okay.
we don't need it
So
to
we're
be.
saying there's no. So we'll say there's no. So he's there, but he's not a playable character, and he only does if you don't.
He's kind of like your advisor. Let's
Yeah.
go with that. Let's make him be like the fairies in Zelda.
Let's see. Player. Militia leader. It's militia only. Now, how do we see the battles taking place with the militia? Army blobs, individual units.
Individual units.
Voting army blobs. Dex?
Say what?
How is the RTS battles taking place? Army blobs or individual units?
I like units better. Because if you just have
All right.
mods, there's no strategy.
Unless you have more than one blob, which you're just going back to units then.
Yep.
Alright, now, you two define strategy and how you see it with the units.
There's no way to predict or to set up the best result prior to the battle.
That's your definition of strategy? No way to predict.
I mean, it's just a vague. No way to
Have the optimal.
to be able to put your units in the best position, knowing all the parameters going into the battle.
You can have like most of the things covered, but there's gonna be somewhere where it's lacking.
There's always some way that they can overrun you, or you can become better by what the enemy does.
Dexter, your definition?
The definition for what a strategy game is?
Strategy. For KZAV strategy.
Strategy. I guess having to maybe like change your plans just in case like something does go wrong in Phil's case. like
So things can go not as you expected.
yes, and then you would have to change based
You have
on
to
what
react
you
to it.
have.
All right, and now how will you achieve that with the game?
Moving your units, I guess, in a specific way.
The cover, the modifiers, the random, if you can get hit or not. Not just straight number battles.
Yeah.
Where
What's
if you
this random
take-
you're talking about?
If you take 2 units and target them on just on 1 unit, so you're killing off enemies faster. All those kind of things.
Now you mentioned random. What's random?
If you're behind cover, it's, I guess, depends on how you want it. If you want to do bullets, then it's a 50% chance getting hit. If you want to do like a ray gun or air gun, then it's half damage.
Well, that's not truly random. That's just
Well, 50% chance getting hits random. You can get shot on the first bullet, or you can get
it
shot
just
on the
hits
10th.
50% chance.
Yeah.
It's not true random.
If they can only take 1 bullet, it's random. Your player could get off 10 shots
Yes.
in 1 shot. That's what I mean by random.
So strategy is being able to select your units, move them, and targets on what you want.
Yep, basically.
Yeah. What about cover? What will be the bonuses of cover? To what extent? How often? How frequent? Is there cover present?
Well, if it's like 15 to 25% of them missing.
I guess, if you use the cover correctly, your army's damage or effectiveness should be increased by like 30% if you use it perfectly optimally.
So by your army's effectiveness, do you mean attacking
So,
or defending
I
or
mean,
both?
That
As in,
if you go
they
on,
shoot stronger or they take more hits?
not
Or
not
not more
shoot
hits, they take more
stronger,
shots.
but more.
Okay, it sounds like
I don't know how to describe it.
there should be, based on cover, a 25% chance to not be hit. How often will be the most effective?
Yeah, so you don't have it so
And
it
an army
goes
can
like
be.
instantly. Just like stand still.
Yep.
And 25 will be the top it can be.
Yeah.
Now, will it be a flat top of 25% per any cover, or will there be scaling cover?
I was thinking, since it's a top-down view, if when you're
Mhm.
behind cover, you're covered, but you have to come out from behind cover to shoot, and then you can go back.
So you're thinking more of hiding.
More of hiding. Yeah.
Now, if you're hiding, why are you only 25% chance likely to be hit?
Well, that's what I was thinking. 50.
But then I think that's too
You're-
much.
you're
That
out-
still seems like a very high amount of being able to be hit.
Well, I mean, it's
and that
it's not a.
there would be no
No,
reason to
it's
use
not a
cover.
chance of being hit. It's a chance of being hit over the whole time. So as soon as you come out from behind cover to shoot, you're completely vulnerable.
So are you saying you're invulnerable when you're hiding? Unless you get flanked.
Let's get flanked. Yep. Like a
That's more like cover equals 100%.
like a real battle.
And then you have to expose yourself to attack.
I'm thinking of like real life, I guess.
But do we
Dexter?
want real life?
Dexter, what's your...
What's your take, Dex?
I think that
your
even
cover?
if you are covering behind like a rock or like a tree or something, sometimes they can still angle around where you are and still be able to hit you.
So real life.
A little bit like real life. A little bit
I
less.
think you're being too complex with real
Yeah.
life. And that should just be a flat, you're 25% less likely to be hit.
because it's just too having like 50%. That's too much. It's just gonna last way too long.
It's not only that, you have to worry about hiding and then popping out to shoot. Hiding, popping out, shoot, and you have to do that for each unit.
No, the units do that by themselves.
I just want it to be a little bit simpler, just because it just gonna take too long. It's gonna confuse the crap out of people. Like some people
I'm gonna
don't
agree with
know
Dexter
how to
on this
play
one.
RTSs at all. What are they gonna do having to deal with people that are hiding and can't get hit ever? They're just gonna get frustrated and quit.
Well, not if you make the soldiers aggressive. So they're always trying to
But then they won't be
shoot
hiding,
somebody.
and then there's no point of having that.
Well, they can be using cover, but they won't be hiding.
No, cover's going to be a flat thing. It's been voted. We're going to move on.
Yeah.
Or we're going to get back into another hour-long
Yeah.
argument.
So I'd
Yep.
say,
Sounds good.
it's gonna take
So-
forever to freaking upload.
It is. It's going to be bad, and I need to split this into parts for sure. Now we have the priority of cover for the AI. Is the AI going to run to cover and just sit there and fire back because it knows that's the best?
Kneel.
Or is it going
It's
to...
going to kneel there and look forward for another shot.
It's just going to be in cover. Well, wait, I'm going to go back to scaling cover. So, you're hiding behind a bush, and you're hiding behind a tree. Do they give the same bonus, or is there scaling?
I mean, trees better than bush.
So why don't you just do two different ones? If you're behind a bush, you can't be seen, but you can be shot. So if they know you're there, you can be shot.
Well, we could make that
Or if you're behind a
like,
tree, it'll
cover is an
protection.
all-encompassing term. That
So just have
not being seen kind of counts as cover, but if you get hit, you're
like
you're screwed.
cover and protection.
well more like you only need cover, not so much protection, because it's like a 25% chance they see you versus a 25% chance they'll actually hit you.
Right.
And so cover would incorporate that as well. But we could have different levels of cover depending how complex we want to go. We could have only 3 levels of cover, like a 5, a 10, or a 5, 15, and 25. Or we could have just everything is 25,
Values
and
don't
we won't
matter.
put in bushes. Bushes won't count as cover. Or
I think everything should count as cover.
I think just
if you can run into it, it's cover.
Yeah. I think if you just want to have it of bushes, if they can count for less, like that one, but I don't see
We can-
anything
we
else
can-
being counted as anything more.
We
Like
can
bushes
do
is like
random,
5%.
Any modifier.
alright. So we'll do scaling
Yeah.
cover.
Yeah, that's easy.
Now we need to go back to how does the AI address cover.
It will go for
I think that's something we have to play test.
Well, what's your original thoughts as right now? And then we can work on writing the AI.
Cover equals percent minus distance or something like that.
No, I'm just mean, in battle, will the enemy move its units to cover and sit there?
No,
Will it
no.
just aggressively attack the player? Will they
No, they're
both
not gonna
just
sit
aggressively
there,
attack
'cause
each other?
sitting there pisses people off. So then we won't make them do that.
Yes, we want to avoid camping.
They'll move. They'll move.
They'll move. They're going to move.
But will cover be something that only the player actually makes use
No.
of?
No, they'll use it.
So maybe the AI moves to cover until it can see something and then it engages.
But
It moves into that minimum distance it has to be to engage, and then it seeks for cover and then it engages.
Sure.
Let's see. Now we have to think in battle with your X amount of units versus their X amount of units. Reinforcements. What happens?
I don't think we have
In battle.
reinforcements.
Only in battle.
no reinforcements.
I think we have reset.
No reinforcements.
Kevin dies, you reset.
Yeah.
Given dies equals reset. Alright, now, how do they get units back?
Side quests.
I'm against the side quest, but I don't really have an alternative right now.
And time is the same as side quests.
Well, time, I want to avoid time if we don't have an HQ, because there's like no real place they're coming from.
Well, I just mean even if you have an HQ, you're still either you're waiting for units to spawn or you're actively doing something.
Yeah, but you
Spawn.
can do something else,
Yeah.
and they'll still spawn. You don't have to do a quest to have them spawn through time. Like, you can be on your way to the next temple, and they'd still spawn.
What about like stuff you do during the platformer, like getting like a double kill or a triple kill? Increases like
I mean, you can't. Oh,
It doesn't really make much sense.
it's not only that it doesn't make good sense. It kind of you can get in this edge case where you do terribly and you have no more militia, and then what happens?
I like the side quest because you help someone out and then they come help you out.
what about after you do?
Kind of people fun.
What happened to like? Do we have like? It's adding another thing to the game, but having like a town. So if you help that town out, they will constantly send militia to you.
So you have to go back to a place you've already beaten and get a new group of
Yeah.
militia. Now we have to worry about how much back and forth is too repetitive because you have to fight. Theoretically, every time you engage a town, we really haven't covered that yet. In fact, we should probably cover that first. Even though RTS is in front of the player, are we doing that with Phil's design where it's every town that unlocks the temple? Phil, your vote?
Well, obviously I'm going to vote for my own idea.
Obviously.
I
Dexter?
don't see anything better. If you have a better idea, I'd love to hear it.
Oh my gosh. I don't know.
No, neither. I gotta think of something.
Yeah.
I just think it's just too prevalent if it's always required to unlock a temple. Even if it is in front of the player.
I mean, it could be not unlocking a temple, but unlocks
We could.
Something weird.
It could be.
where instead now you have to sneak through the town to avoid the army.
You could go to the temple without beating the town, but the town is where you get reinforcements, and closer.
That's a bad idea.
The closer you are, or no, the new towns are closer to where you are rather than the temple. Or I mean, going all the way back to the first village. Basically, a supply station that just you capture a closer one.
I really don't know.
I don't get it. I mean, I don't mind dodging in towns, but then what's the point of a town?
To have a closer reinforcement point.
But if you don't need units at all, why do you need towns?
That's true. There would have to be something else also in there. Well, it would make
I mean, that you could do,
the enemy weaker,
you could
perhaps.
do they do that, make the temples easier by clearing out the towns.
And you can reinforce from towns. Or
I still like helping people out to get militia, but
Well, I can still be part of it.
well, helping people to we still have the side missions for that, for Lexi and Rose.
I mean those could be recruiting people. Those side missions. Since we're
I'd
taking-
rather have them more involved in the story because they're minor characters. Well, they're major characters, they're just
We can make them a little
Minor.
bit more major.
well, they get their own play style or their own play position. I think they get to be as major as they need to be once you play New Game Plus. But for Kevin's story, they're kind of minor. Like they help out for one level, and then that's it. But you see them throughout the whole thing. So I'm gonna say beating a town makes the temple easier.
Yeah, I like that. Then you can skip
All right.
entirely.
Now, where do our reinforcements come from?
Would it be like rescuing people inside the
I mean-
temple?
You could.
To do that.
I like that idea.
It's a good idea. That's a good idea.
So, rescue prisoners inside temples. So we have our lose conditions, we have our win conditions, we have how we reinforce, cover the AI for the battle. I think we're good.
Well, that really came together quickly.
After arguing for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I've been having to go for a long time. Let me just upload this, make sure you guys agree with it.
This is almost
done.
3 hours long.
It is.
Oh my gosh.
It's uploaded in the design folder under RTS design notes. Well, KZAV RTS design notes. Well, we got plenty of content for when Phil's not here next week.
Good God.
That's true.
This could fill in 3
And when
weeks.
Dexter's not here the 18th. Yep. Oh, I don't know how I'm gonna edit this. It's going to be hell. Dexter, when you were reading out all the things on screen when we did the overview,
Yeah.
that was such a bitch to align with
I'm
everything.
sorry.
That's fine.
If it makes you feel any better, I probably talk through like half of this one. I'm pretty sure a good hour and a half is just you two going back and forth.
Yeah, it probably is. But then I have to line up your responses with our cut-ins to you.
I'm just making everything work.
Yeah, it's just gonna be hell, but whatever. It's fun.
Are we done recording now?
Once you guys look at the document, tell me it's everything you wanted and more, and you're happy.
What is it named?
KZAV-RTS directions. Or design directions.
Design
right?
notes.
Yeah. RTS design notes, yes.
Looks good to me.
Next.
Hold on a second. I'm not as fast a reader as he is. Alright, yeah, I like it.
Alright, this is Project KZAV signing off.